Hi there. My name is Sally. Thank you for coming to How I Got There, from cult survivor to writer. If this is your first time here, please subscribe, and I welcome comments and questions. You might want to go back and watch my first video. It talks a little bit about my background and why I'm doing these videos here on YouTube. The first video I did, there was a thunderstorm going on, and today I have a cat who is being obnoxious, and my neighbors were having an argument outside my door a little while ago. So life in a condo. Anyway, thank you for coming. I already said that, but so I want to talk a little bit today about the cult Jehovah's Witnesses. And that is the cult that I was raised in and that I was able to escape from. And I had a realization today that a lot of people don't think it's a cult or don't understand that it's a cult. It's been around, Jehovah's Witnesses have been around for a long time. And most people see them as a harmless, Christian group that goes around, and they're annoying. They knock on your door, or they stand on the corners and want to give you, hand you pamphlets to read. But there's a lot more to them than just being a Christian group that's trying to preach to you. First of all, they disassociate themselves from Christianity and all religion of the world, which is why they call themselves Jehovah's Witnesses and why they meet in buildings called kingdom halls. They want nothing to do with religion, that as you know it. They believe they have the one true religion, and Jehovah is their God. There's so many things that I could go into about growing up as a Jehovah's Witness. So I'm going to give you a few examples of why it's not an extreme religion, but it is a cult. And then maybe as you're listening to this, if you have questions, please ask me. And I'm not going to debate religion, and I'm not going to debate whether this is a cult or not, because it 100% is. I'm here to share my story and my strength and my energy to help anyone who is coming out of a cult, who is in a cult. And I'm segueing that into, it's hard to get out, and you need a path. You need somewhere to go. You need something to focus on, something to be successful in. And that's kind of the way my life went. Until I had a path, I kind of floundered around, thinking myself very unworthy of anything. And you will understand this as you begin to see how the mindset is of the Jehovah's Witnesses, and as a child, how their thinking formed me. And thank God I have a strong faith and belief system, and so I'm on the right path. So here's a few things I will explain to you. I get asked a lot, why don't Jehovah's Witnesses celebrate birthdays? Well, duh. There's no birthdays in the Bible. So the early Christians did not celebrate birthdays, and Jehovah's Witnesses only will celebrate things that are in the Bible. They only do things that the early Christians did. But to a point, they don't observe the Sabbath, and they don't stone their children. All of those things were early Christian things, but I won't go there. So what I was told as a child is that we don't believe that birthday celebrations are, they please Jehovah. What they are is pagan celebrations that are influenced by evil spirits, and those spirits can attack me on my birthday. So And also, the only examples of birthdays in the Bible were bad examples. For instance, John the Baptist getting beheaded on Herod's birthday. Again, I could say a lot about that, but that is what I was told as a 6-year-old. Evil spirits, demons, pagans, and I could get my head chopped off. So let's see, what are some of the other things? Why don't Jehovah's Witnesses accept blood? They don't accept blood transfusions. Now, this is kind of a back and forth thing. I tie it in with organ donation. So Jehovah's Witnesses didn't let you have an organ transplant, then they did, then they didn't, then they did. But as far as blood has always been, the stance is that God said you must not eat. You must not eat anything of the blood. And I believe he was talking about the animals. You must not eat the blood of any sort of flesh, because the soul of every sort of flesh is in its blood. Anyone eating of it will be cut off. And so they have taken this to mean that a life-saving blood transfusion is the same as ingesting blood. And they take it literally that God will condemn them. And so Jehovah's Witnesses carry little cards, or they have bracelets now. You can buy them on Etsy that say no blood. And when a Jehovah's Witness is sick and in the hospital, and there might be a threat of blood, they actually have a blood team that comes to the hospital and ensures that no blood is given. Now, they will argue with you that they take, other forms of blood, but a Jehovah's Witness can get disfellowshipped if they choose to have a blood transfusion. Disfellowshipping means you are shunned. Your family, your friends, everyone in the world that you know, in your world that you know, will consider you dead. And it's a long, long path to get back into the good graces. You don't just all of a sudden one day, I'm back. It's a long road. Something else is, I love this one. People ask me this one all the time. And this hit me when I was a child, is why do kingdom halls have little or no windows? So my first time going to a kingdom hall, I think I was about 6.5, 7. And I was so excited. My mom said, we're going to go to church today. And I was thinking in my mind, oh, that's great. I want to go because I remember going with my cousins on Easter and we got to wear pretty dresses and back then we wore gloves, little gloves and hats. And there'd be beautiful stained glass windows and I'd get to hear people sing and there'd be music. And I was going for the beauty of the building. It's age 6.5, the beauty of the building and the music. And we get to the Kingdom Hall, and first of all, it's not called a church, so that's a little disappointing. Second of all, it's a little brick building with one window, and it's got bars over it. And we go inside, and it's an old warehouse that had been converted into a meeting room with lots of folding chairs and a little stage and bathrooms. And then there was 2 little rooms off to the side, which I found out later. The one room was the elder's room. The elder's room is where you go for counsel, as they call it, counsel. That's when you've done something wrong and you're being reprimanded, or women who do not have a husband who's a Jehovah's Witness will go and get advice from an elder. And then there's the room where you go when you're disfellowshipped because you're not allowed to be a part of the rest of the congregation. No one's allowed to talk to you or see you or smile at you or say good morning. You go in there by yourself and sit and you listen on a speaker. But what does that have to do with no windows? Well, I sort of went off on a rabbit trail, sorry. But having no windows. As a child, I was sitting there in my little chair getting smacked because I was moving around during the 2.5 hour long meeting. And I wanted to just, look outside. I wanted some light. I wanted to see something other than that boring man who was talking. I kind of think that's the reason they don't have windows. I think it's because they want the people sitting there to focus up front and not be distracted by anything else. The other thing too is a lot of the kingdom halls, if you notice, they all look the same. They're built by volunteers, and volunteers, again in quotes, are Jehovah's Witnesses who need to do some good deeds. Because the more good you do, the better Jehovah will love you. And they have a plan. They build them all the same way. Bricks. I mean, all of them look like they're made out of bricks with no windows. And they have gates around them, and they're locked up tight. So as a kid, when I asked my mom, why no windows? It was because of the volunteers. It was easier to build. Oh, it's cheaper. We use old buildings and we make renovations. Oh, it's because of vandalism. We're worried, that people are going to vandalize us. I never in my life have been to a church ever where they were so unwelcoming from the outside. And I encourage you, if you're brave, go to a meeting, see if you can even get in. Just walk in regular street clothes and see if you're not felt like you are a complete outsider and you're ostracized. It's a very strange thing. So long story short, no windows, because windows are like churches. Windows cause vandalism. It's cheaper to build buildings without windows. And we use old buildings and we convert them. Basically what it comes down to is it's all a control thing. All Jehovah's Witness kingdom halls must look the same. And here's another question. Why do Jehovah's Witnesses go door to door? I know during COVID they weren't doing that, but they go door to door. They stand on street corners now with their little cart full of literature. They sit on park benches and hand you literature. And they write letters. I'm sure you've all gotten a letter at your house from one. So this is a part of their belief that they must preach about Jehovah and paradise on earth to every person on earth. And they believe that once every person on earth has heard, then the end will come. I don't understand that philosophy, but because there's always people being born. I don't know. It never made sense to me. And that also goes along with if you die before hearing about Jehovah, I always wondered, then do you get a second chance? Or because there wasn't enough Jehovah's Witnesses and you lived in the middle of the jungle and you didn't hear about Jehovah, so you were toast? I don't know. That never made sense to me. The other thing is witnesses who go door to door, they have to turn time in every week. They have to record how many hours they were out, how much literature they handed out, they record who they talked to in descriptive conversations they had. But they have to turn in every week a timesheet, which is how many hours, how many books and pamphlets they handed out, how many in-home free Bible studies they had, how many letters they wrote, and it's all recorded and kept track. And when the elders start seeing a slip in the numbers, you're going to get a visit from the elder. So I say all this because I want you to see the road that I traveled and the road that many other people travel. a very regimented road that's very controlled and thought out for you. And me as a creative person had a very hard time. I never could come to grips with any of this. But also as a child, I was afraid because I was a kid and these are adults telling me, telling me things, and I need to behave and listen. They're the grown-ups in my life. I'm just a kid. So coming out of the Jehovah's Witnesses, once I was out, it was rough because I didn't really have, like I said, I didn't really have a path or a plan. And it took me a long time to get that path or plan. And once I started my path, I shut off all that Jehovah's Witness stuff behind me and tried to ignore it, but it kept popping up, and I eventually had severe depression. I couldn't leave the house for a while, and I had little kids. Anxiety, I was physically ill because I didn't know all of this was from growing up in this mind-controlling doomsday cult. So I say that because then I discovered that I had creativity and I should use it. And I started doing as many creative things as I could. I painted, I drew, I wrote little things. I did parties with my kids where I did all these grand decorations and planned fun things. But it wasn't until I was in my mid-40s that I discovered writing. And I want to say that if you have a dream or a passion and you've struggled with things in your past, come to grips with those things in your past. Understand that you are who you are, and those things are still a piece of you, and you probably have to turn off well, not probably, but you do need to change your thought patterns. And the best way to do that is to dive into something that you love doing. And creativity for me is the best source. And even if you're not a creative person, just try it. Just do something fun. Go to a paint night and just, let yourself loose and sit down and write something. It doesn't have to be good. Just sit down and pour your heart out. Write a poem, anything. Write a song lyric. You never know what you're going to get. Build something. Get out, get some wood and build something. Paint a wall in your house a bright color. When my kids were little, I painted murals on their bedroom walls. So I say this because if you're in a cult and you're trying to get out, you're not the only one. You're not alone. You're not dumb. You're not stupid. You're smart because you're waking up. And you just need to make sure one day at a time, one step at a time, get on your path and get going. And there's a lot of people out there who are on your side, who will help you. They're all around. You just got to look for them. So that being said, I'm going to sign out because this was way longer than I meant to do. But I really appreciate you coming and listening to my babbling. I have a sense of humor, but so come back again next week. I'm going to read an excerpt from my book, The Truth is a Lie. And I will answer any questions that you can leave down in the comments. So thank you and have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.